preferably cross-legged, sit straight, and सर्वे वेदा यत् पदमामनन्ति तपांसि सर्वाणि च यत् वदन्ति यदिच्छन्तो ब्रह्मचर्यं चरन्ति तत्ते पदं संग्रहेण ब्रवीमि. Om iti etat. This was the last shloka we did last time. Sarve Veda, all the Vedas, yat padam amananti. It all calls forth one final destination. Tapamsi sarvani chet vadanti, that which is spoken of by as attainable as an end of all tapasyas. Tapasya is basically discipline. All disciplines of for realization. Yadichantaha, Icha is the root cause of all our initiatives and actions. So here the Icha will be to attain the knowledge of Brahman. So for that, desiring that, he follows the highest of the discipline called Brahmacharya. Tatte, te, that padam, that highest seat of knowledge, sangrahena, in short, bravimi, I say, Om. That is Omkar. Now, having gone round a full description of talking about the sadhaka and his preparedness, finally it ends up with a monosyllabic letter Om. That's considered as the pranava, and out of which the entire creation is proposed to have come out. All knowledge has come out of Om, all the creation come out of Om, and into Om everything gets merged. But this is a very mystical thought, correct? A thought which has to be accepted only on the testimony of the scripture. There doesn't seem to be any personal experience, or we cannot rationalize this. That's one side of the story. The second side of the story is there is no necessity to rationalize. The reason is, if it is rationalizable, then it will come under the comprehension of the mind, and it will become, anything that is comprehended by mind will become relative. So, when the scripture propounds itself about the absolute state, naturally there will be a lot of mystical element combined. However, the acharyas, they come and try to rationalize as much as possible, so that we are at least get convinced to that extent that following the scripture, we will not be doing anything wrong. Now, if you see, the uniqueness of Om is further described by Vivekananda in the Raja Yoga book. How the mental waves can be arrested and made one-pointed. That is the point of discussion in that chapter. So that time, Patanjali, he gives a lot of tips. He says, see, there are many times your mind has become very pleasant, very calm and quiet and very inspired. Now you can bring those thoughts to memory. If you do that, highly likely your mind will again get calmed, pacified, and one-pointed. Always think of those ideas which are edifying, elevating, and unifying, not diversifying. So there are certain instances, days, when we get very good dreams. Some days we goes dreamless. Some other days your dreams are very, very bad. So those days in which we get good dreams, you will find on that day your spirit, your entire feeling of yourself will be very elevating, and whatever you think, there will be more positivity in it. There will be more energy in your system. That's because there has been sufficient amount of calmness already set in your mind, right from even in your sleep. It has been quite calm enough, and in that calm state, it has projected an experience which is so agreeable and so enriching. And remember, memories have got several dimensions. It has got several dimensions. What do you mean? It has got several attributes. It has got several attributes. One of the attribute is the feeling. One other attribute will be the information which all the five senses take. The color attribute, the smell attribute, the space attribute, correct? The sound attribute, and the time attribute. Every memory has got so many attributes. Each attribute, I am calling it a dimension. So it is a multidimensional information, and they are all very well connected. The other day I was referring to you that this is the first place where I heard about there is something called buck deer. Correct? I've never heard of this term. So at any other later instant, if people would refer to buck deer, I will immediately remember this Vivekananda study circle class where one professor informed me about this buck deer. And that will always also bring memories about IIT. But how is it that a particular name associated with some understanding brings back a host of other connections in the memory? So that means all these attributes are all linked to each other. When I say the time of Sunday classes when I come to IIT, where the time is involved, and along with the time, many other things are also connected. So on Sunday, I go to Ramakrishna Math in the evening. So the moment I think of Vivekananda study circle classes on Sunday, my mind will try to find out in this particular complex thought, because it has many attributes, many dimensions. In this complex thought, what is that dimension which is dominating? There will be one dimension which is dominating, one or two or three, whatever. So the dominating dimension will give me the link to the next thought. So if the Sunday thought is pretty strong, in the Vivekananda study circle class, if Sunday thought is pretty strong, then all the activities that I do on Sunday, my mind will start perusing that. Out of which one is this class. Quite a significant amount of the time day is spent here for me. But nevertheless, there are other things also which are dear to my heart, which I do engage myself on Sundays, on every day for that matter. So those thoughts are also being pulled out. They are being unearthed. So the thought is not never linear in nature. Thought is never linear. All the attributes are themselves memories. What I say attribute of a memory, they themselves are memories. So buck deer may be a current focusing thought for which the Sunday VSC class is a dimension. So Sunday is one dimension. Now Sunday, because of Sunday being dominant, Sunday itself becomes a thought of its own right. Now that Sunday thought will have several dimensions. Now it will pick up one of those thoughts. This way, all our thoughts are linked. Why I am saying this? The reason why this is the reason why I am saying this is because of this. So the mental waves in a good dream, a very good dream. Suppose, say for instance, you are in a dark room and then suddenly light comes and somebody is lifting you from that and then taking you to a place of joy where you forget your sorrow and your mind becomes very light, losing all the inertia. It's a very blessed experience. Now, this experience, suppose if you have it in the dream, now in that, remember, whether you know it or not, every thought is aggregating a lot of dimensions. Certain dimensions knowingly, certain other dimensions unknowingly. So now, by the virtue of our earlier understanding, you bring out a thought, whatever is dominant in that, that will lead you to the next thought. So when I bring this thought of a good dream that I had, we may not know that there is another dominant thought connected to it that will get awakened. So it's highly likely you will get a train of thoughts which are all conducive for you to maintain that placid state of mind. Because out of chaos you will never get order. Out of order only you will get another order. However, chaos can come out of order because of disorderliness, so to say, increased entropy. But an order can never come out of chaos. So if you think that the mental construction, the idea, the theme that is constructed in the mind is so pleasant, then that means the cause of that will also be pleasant. And it is highly likely that you will be unearthing from within you a great potential. And keeping a care and holding on to that, you may be able to, at will, voluntarily, at will, you may be able to settle your mind at peace. So that's what experience brings to us. Experience brings to us a host of other things.
This cause what you mentioned, is it like spontaneous or it has a order? Like some suppose a pleasant thought came.
What we call spontaneity is our inability to investigate into the cause. There's nothing spontaneous.
Some let's say some good memories came or which is
So the good memory might have come because of a particular thought process that you have got into during your sleep.
but which is unconscious.
Well, in dream, whatever dream consciousness you can say. You can't say unconscious. You are dream conscious. In your dream consciousness, we are not afflicted with too many earthly botherations. We have more freedom. We will come to that shloka a little later. Asinam duram rajati shayano yati sarvatah kastam madam madadevo. And it comes fourth pada. I don't remember. So the beauty here is that every thought that arises in the mind is not the beginning. It is a beginning for the next train of thoughts. But this itself is a result of a train of thoughts that has already gone within. So that's the reason why they say, whenever a bad thought comes to your mind, don't fight against that thought, because it is a dead horse. You cannot fight against your thought, because the thought that has come, it's not a starting point. Something else has triggered this particular thought to come. What is that thought? Typically we say it is the guna. The guna, the sattva guna, rajo guna, tamo guna is there. Na? The guna pradanyatvam, that whenever one guna is dominating, that guna will bring its own family of thoughts. So if you fight against the thoughts, then it becomes endless. That's why I always tell myself that whenever I sit for meditation, I don't follow the thoughts. Because thought is an end product. By following the thoughts, you are not going to get anything. Particularly those thoughts which are very, very troubling. And thoughts will lead you only to the next future thoughts. It will never lead you to the cause of it. That's the reason why initially we must allow most of the thoughts to, and thoughts they will die out because it's a finished product. It's a construction of your guna, and slowly you build up your guna and shift its shift its property, its quality from tamas to a bit of rajas and then to sattva. The moment you go to sattva, you find, so by maybe because of some inexplicable reasons, if my mind attains this sattvic realm in my dream, out of that will get wonderful images, very edifying and elevating images it produces. Sometimes you even get to experience some good smell. Hmm? So as a result, what you find, so now this smell, these images, and then the feeling, they are all finished products. But if you hold on to that, it will bring out all the ideas that are connected with this. So, and all those ideas also will have its genesis in the same bedrock of the guna. Same guna is instrumental in bringing all those ideas. So we go back, and then when we think, when we imagine, when we rather recollect the thought, what you are doing here is you are bringing that guna back into force. That is what it does. So the mind becomes placid and it continues to be placid. And in that placid mind, because it is in sattva guna, it will, now sattva guna when it is dominating, what it will do? Na? It will bring all the attributes that are related to sattva. See, like attracts like. Just as the way, the moment you destabilize your mind by saying very harsh words or entertaining bad thoughts, you find how the mind spirals down one after another. This morning also I experienced that. I checked, opened my, before coming here, I opened my computer, I got a mail. There was one message. I clicked that, it took me to a social media, and there were a lot of articles in that. And then first article was something about a very positive article. And then I read that, and then okay, there was a second article I wanted to read that compromised on the quality content. Second got compromised, and then I went to the third. The third still got compromised. Then I went to the fourth. The fourth was still compromised. It's surprising. I was as if being dragged down. Four consecutive messages, as if somebody has arranged all these messages in a manner to influence the mind in that manner. See, this is very dangerous. Huh? Quite likely. See how information media is poisoning our mind, you see. How it can poison us. Because the short and small messages which you can read within 1 minute. Okay? That 1 minute idea, what it is doing, it's not only giving the thoughts, it is also picking out some thoughts from within. When it picks the thoughts from within, those thoughts may have a different grounding, meaning different gunas. So, when an idea which is not very conducive for a positive thought is presented, now according to that, proportionate to that, the guna becomes dominant because I am feeding now. I am poking the bedrock of my existence with this pin. And this thought is going to bring out the appropriate guna. And whatever may be the dominant thought, you have the freedom to either intensify that thought or weaken the thought. You can do both. That's where the wisdom operates. Even though the guna dominates, still mind has this freedom factor. There is a non-zero probability of lifting yourself from any state of existence. And that non-zero probability comes because of the essential freedom of the Atma. So that option is always there with man. Always. So, but the more we exercise that, the more it becomes strong. The more we are able to consolidate ourselves. The more we will not give up ourselves into the hands of into the nature's calling. We will indulge only based on the discrimination that we use. So as a result, what is happening? The thought was taking me. That was the compromise was done, and the first message was very good. But then, since I thought first message was good, so I thought second message also will be good. So I started reading that there was a compromise. The third message still compromise. Fourth message, and then I went and crossed the tab. I went and crossed the tab. I mean, I could clearly see, because it was early in the morning, I could clearly see the mind going down. And completely, so to say, doctored by the series of messages. That's the reason why we should never you should be very, very wary about the reading materials, because it is going to bring out the God within you, as well as it has the potentiality to bring out the beast within us.
But in the newspaper, when you read some news of violence and many extreme case of violence,
Correct.
is it good to carry on with this, or just better to leave? Or like some people sometimes we read it a long time, we try to be aware of the situation, like some war happened in Syria, and many negative consequences happen. So is it good to just for information to go through all this, or it is better to because I can't do anything. It's better to move on and move to a better news article. Because when I read
what I'm trying to say here is, this is a very difficult question to answer. If I say, suppose there is no one answer, suppose I say, no, you should not read like that, then you will next ask the question, are we not supposed to be aware of what's happening around? This is a vicious circle. We have to use our wisdom, how much you are going to pursue that thought. Whatever you are doing, be aware of what you are doing. Don't lose yourself into that. Only if you can consolidate your foothold, you will be able to help yourself. See, there is a guy who is locked up in a slush. And if this guy has to come out, the more he tries, the more he is dragged within that slush. So how can he be pulled out? There must be someone who has a good grounding and extends a helping hand and then pulls the guy out of the slush. Now in my own case, I don't have a second person. I have to find help within. So if I allow my mind to get completely into the slush, I will never be able to salvage myself. So that's the reason why you should have an objective subjective approach. Your subject means the identity of yourself. That should never get mingled up with the object, namely the subject matter of study. So when you're reading about a newspaper, you should read it objectively by keeping your subject not messing up with it. As much as you are able to digest, as much as you are able to maintain yourself. But a time when it comes that you are losing yourself in that, then that's when you have to just shut it down and then go away. That time, information is turning into poison. It's not helping any further. Information overflow. And quite often, most of the information that we get are practically useless. It is only to satisfy our own curiosity to know. Man is a thinking animal, and he is ever curious to know things. So that's what makes him go and pick up several of these, unconnected, broken pieces. And then when he gets tired, he just lays it down and then goes ahead. Ultimately, what good you get by troubling yourself with the information about the war and its outcome. Because by just having an opinion, you are not helping the world. Your awareness, your information, your readiness means absolutely nothing for the world. Let us not fool ourselves by saying that my awareness is going to be something which will bring about a huge metamorphosis. It doesn't even help me. But nevertheless, giving ourselves the luxury of enjoying the freedom that we have, let us fill this pot with some dirt also, not a problem. If that's what we desire, let us do that. But let us do it consciously. So the mental waves that are generated, it brings in a lot of dimensions into focus. And a dominant dimension in that will lead you to the next thought. Correct? That's the reason why, in the research, they they are they are open to thoughts. You can never be biased. The reason is when you pick a thought from your mind, you really do not know which one is dominant in it. But if you are preconceived, you will always follow the same dreaded path. You will never be able to try new paths. So, for a research person, for a person who is doing research, it is very, very important that he keeps his mind not entangled with any bias. And because of any thought that comes has got something dominant within, and you have to pick up that one, and you will be able to do it if you keep your mind free. Therefore, it says, if you bring such a thought, highly likely that the dominating thought from within that produces this thought will come forth, and that will come forth with more force. Cause is more forceful than the effect, because effect is finally formed, and cause has more power. So the cause of this particular edifying thought will certainly be more powerful, and that puts rest to the disturbed mind. And that is very conducive for the yoga sadhana. Now, one of that thought is Ishvara Pranidhanadva. That is, you can calm the mind by saying that, not going through newspaper, not going through Surya Viryada, and then you say, Arey, everything, whatever happens is because of God. It's a design, it's a grand design, out of which I am myself a small dot. How can I dictate a design? There is no necessity. Because we know our positions, we know our roles, we know our propensities. So, with that, we should have a modest estimate about our own capabilities. With that, we can always say that this entire design, most of which is not in my control, and the best way I can settle all the mental vacillation is to offer the whole thing at the feet of the God. And then say, the Lord knows, He will take care of it. And then we do what is given to our lot and not worry about things which are beyond our reach. So now, Ishvara Pranidhanadva. So give to the Ishvara, your mind will get settled. We are coming to Om. Why Ishvara is coming here? Because, acha, who is this Ishvara? Ishvara is Acharya Shankara Patanjali describes it as Klesha Karma Vipaka Ashayaihi Aparamrishtaha Purusha Vishesha Ishvaraha. So the Ishvara is a Purusha Vishesha, is a special entity in the creation. Is a because Ishvara is also part of the creation. Creator is also part of the creation. Though he has a control over it, but he is also someone who is in the midst of the creation. Okay, so he is a Purusha Vishesha, the Sankhya Purusha, and then he Aparamrishtaha, he is untouched. We say na when we meditate on the Ishta, that Ishta should be untouched with misery, untouched with innocence. Sorry, untouched with ignorance. That means full of knowledge. Untouched with any kind of violence, because all of them are a degraded state of existence. no misery, no sin, no ignorance. That's the state of the Ishta. And that's the state of the Ishvara. So your Ishta is actually occupying the position of the Ishvara. So klesha, karma untouched by any work. Vipaka is results. So is neither touched by work nor touched by the results. Ashayehi. Asha means desires. So Ashayehi, he has no desires. So such is that Ishvara. So that is, what does it mean? It means when you pray to God, you should never put the responsibility on God. You should put the responsibility on yourself. So how do we commit a mistake in the prayer? Oh Lord, if you think that it is good, you give me. If you wish, you do that. There is no thinking, no wishing on his part. Because ashayehi aparamrishtaha. Aparamrishta. There is no, it doesn't touch him at all. So if you think that it is good, you give. You ask, I want this, you take it. You should always make your prayer positive. But then, you may say, well, suppose if I don't say, if you think that it is good, you give me, then if I don't say that, then suppose I ask for something bad and he gives me, then I'll be doing something wrong. Acha, okay. Are you sincere in your prayer when you say, if it is good, you give me? You have already pawned yourself to that particular thing, and that's what has cornered you to go and adopt a supernatural means to fulfill that desire. And on top of that, you put the condition on the God saying that if you think it is good, you give. So that idea, if you think it is good, it is at the last we are telling. It is not at the first. So this prayer will never fructify. Such a prayer hardly fructifies. So that's the reason why we should be very sincere to ourselves. Pray only what you want, and pray for definite. And if that prayer is really bad, and God doesn't give you, that means you should reckon that it is not good. By the action that the God has not bestowed you, fulfilled your prayer, should give you that conviction that that is not good for me.
Isn't it that we unconsciously didn't choose that also?
No, we have chosen it. I have prayed for it. Right? I own the responsibility that this is my prayer. I am not saying that if you think good, you give me. I am not saying that I want it.
But when you are saying
And I want it and you give me that. Say, well, I want it and you give me, you bestow me on that. Okay. This is a dualistic way we approach our higher self, whom we call God.
question is, does God make a choice like whether to give or not or like that?
I don't know. See, if I know, then I will have my prayer well written. This sutra says he does not have. God has no wants.
If that is so, then
If you want, you give me. If you think, want नहीं है, think नहीं है, desire नहीं है, कुछ भी नहीं है ईश्वर के बारे में. ईश्वर को कुछ भी नहीं बोल सकते. But whatever happens is happening because of God. It is not that he thinks and it happens. We don't. You have to put the equation properly. Otherwise, it will lead to far-reaching conclusions which are untenable.
In knowledge, what should be a proper prayer? A proper wish.
No. See, whatever you desire, you can ask for it. There's nothing wrong.
Give it to me.
Demand. Who else will you ask? Who else will you ask? Will you go and ask a man on the road? If you have a desire, you have a sincere or heartfelt desire you want to fulfill, ask. Why do we have to be ashamed of our own desires? We are working for it, and then at the same time we want to pacify our conscience, which is entertaining the doubt of not getting. It's always entertaining a doubt of the contrary. At a research problem solve करो समय हाथों नो जाने कोई वाला जाने. He is always having a doubt. It is all होबे कि ना. But होबे कि ना अच्छे ना, that ना should be counteracted. Hobe, hobe, hobe. How do you stand on hobe? How do you stand on the idea that this problem will be solved? You may have a plan B, plan C, plan D, but whenever you take a plunge, you have to take a plunge wholeheartedly, like burning the boat situation. And man will not get extinct because of this, because the unmanifest energy is huge. Whatever he is able to bring out energy, that whatever energy he has realized, that energy in fullness he is offering to the pursuit. But that is not exhausting him. Let us not think that we have exhausted all our investments. Unmanifested energy is huge. So the moment we go back there and we pull out, we get some more energy out of it. So whatever energy we have realized within ourselves, you invest it fully through your efforts. But then the mind entertains the defeatist attitude, negative attitude sometimes. Now how do you put rest to this fellow?
So Maharaj, you are suggesting that we should not have any kind of doubt when we are making a prayer.
Yes, very true. Obviously, you should never have any doubt. Prayer should be made 100% and conviction that you will do it. Now, but we know all our prayers are not answered. Correct? But then, does it mean that the Lord has not heard you? So, how do you reconcile this particular state? So now, my mind, in order that I stop its negativity, I bring in a positive thought of God. God is my own higher nature. Correct? My own higher nature. So I am resorting to my own higher nature, saying that, yeah, fulfill this for me. So when I say fulfill this for me, I will have complete conviction that I have appealed to the highest. And I will never entertain a negative thought. Now, after having brought in the Supreme Court judge, I will not doubt that my case will fail. But then, in the, in the sequel, you find that whatever you have desired has not happened. So how do you reconcile this state now? You have invested all your effort. A time has come when you want to consolidate your results. You find that you have not got what you wanted. And then you have to, however, continue your journey. We do it. But then if you trace back and ask this question, Arey, I brought in the Supreme Court judge and still I did not get a verdict in my favor. And the Supreme Court judge is my father. And he hasn't, the Chief Justice has not given things in my favor, in spite of being my father. Then how do you reconcile this? So then will I again go back to the Chief Justice for verdict? Will I again go or not? If I don't go, who is a loser? For him, it is not a problem. Whether I go or not, there are so many people coming. He is going to conduct his court procedure. Whether I go or not, it is not going to bother me. But if I go, I only benefit. But then I went and I didn't get benefit. So how do you reconcile this particular contradiction? That's when you tell that whatever I have prayed for, maybe it did not conduce to my well-being. Maybe it did not conduce to my well-being. That's one strong idea by which we can reconcile. Second idea, I prayed for it, he gave it, but I did not notice. I have not put sufficient effort to notice the gift the God gave. Quite likely. Because God helping you means He is not going to materialize things like Jibumba. He is going to use the powers of the nature to reach the things to you. And maybe you missed. It's quite likely that we might have missed the hint, the help. So praying to the God does not mean that something appears from nowhere. There is always a method in madness. Meaning to say, there is always a procedure for something to result. So in two ways, we can always reconcile ourselves for those things which did not happen in our favor. One thing is that possibly there is a non-zero possibility that if I would get this, it will not conduce to my further growth. Though I may be satisfied with this, but it doesn't contribute to my long-standing growth. Or otherwise, yeah, he wanted to help me, but I was so busy with so many other things that I missed the help. It's quite likely. So next time when I pray, I will pray with more vigor and more one-pointedness and with more sincerity, so that I don't avoid the second problem. First problem you cannot avoid. If it doesn't conduce to my well-being, how much ever I pray, it's not going to fructify. So this way, this way we will have our faith on our master restored. And see, this is again a childish talk. The reason is, most of the things of this nature are achievable by your effort. If you put a sincere 100% effort that we are talking of, that itself will fetch us the result. We don't even have, there is no necessity for us to appeal to so-called higher conscience. But there are cases when the higher conscience help is necessary. It's very much necessary, particularly not when you want to control the nature outside, but you want to control the nature within. That's when we need to take resort to the higher consciousness, which is what Nachiketa is trying to do now. So, with this power of discrimination, he could completely control all the attractions that he had for the nature, that typically nature presents itself. He was able to do that. So here, that Ishvara is klesha karma vipaka ashayehi aparamrishtaha. Now, another characteristic of the Ishvara is tatra niratishayam sarvajñatvam. Sarvajñatva, he is a person, Purusha, who is all-knowing. See, klesha karma doesn't touch him. The fruits does not touch him. Fruit means the effect of every karma, doesn't touch him. So does it mean that he has nothing to do with karma and klesha, karma and phala? See, sometimes a newborn child, a kid who is growing, a school student, a college goer, you will find most of the time nothing touches them. The political ramifications don't affect them at all. In a normal course of life. Extreme, yes. In a normal course of life, it hardly matters to me what kind of government policies are happening currently. Say, electricity bill going by 2 rupees or 3 rupees, or it doesn't, it may indirectly affect me, but these kids who are growing, they are not conscious of what is actually happening here. So, it doesn't touch them in that manner. In the manner in which it touches the parent, it doesn't touch the child. The parent, they cushion, they buffer all the shocks and do not allow the shocks to percolate into their family. Okay, so now this child is, how is it that it is untouched by all the problems of the society? How is it untouched? Because it is protected in a manner that it is not even aware that such a problem exists. So untouched, unaffected, out of ignorance. So this karma and vipaka ashayehi aparamrishta, a child has no desire. And if you are in tamas, extreme tamas, you will not have any desire. You feel like sleeping, and so on. You are whiling our time, wasting our time. Tamas has this capability of drinking out all your desires. So, and possibly you can generalize this aparam mistake if you say untouched, that can happen also out of ignorance. So, is Ishvara ignorant? We say, oh Lord, don't you have eyes? Can't you see that I am suffering? Don't you have eyes? We say out of the pain in the heart. See, it's coming, the prayer, this kind of a crying is coming out of agony, which is completely justified. But the language is inappropriate. The feeling is proper. The language, don't you see that I am suffering? I know very well, my child. But what the suffering that you are supposed to have is much more. It has been much reduced. You are not aware of it. I know it.
So when people are suffering, 90% people when they are suffering, only then they go to God.
Very true.
Like at their good conditions, they will not go to God.
They don't go to.
Why you are giving that much peace, that much good?
Yes. Very true. We think of God only during when the climate is very bad.
So God will think. So if I will hurt you, then only you will come.
Yes. That's that's a very wonderful way of thinking. That he gives, so to say, he never gives, but we can say that sufferings are what do you call invitation card for reaching his doorstep. So Ishvara is not ignorant in that sense. Sarvagya, he knows everything. But in the rest of us, this jnanam is bijam. It is alpam. It's limited. Then this Ishvara is also the teacher also. According to the Sankhya, he is also the teacher of all my Guru and he is the first teacher. He is unlimited with time. Now, such a person, Ishvara, whom we have meditated on, such a person, how do you address him? We need a way to address him. Tasya vachakaha pranavaha. Omkara is the way to address him. Pranava is actually that's a good question. Nava means new. Nava is Nutanam. Pranava means see, anything that is new will become old over a passage of time. But this is new forever. This will never get old. Perpetual newness. So that perpetual newness comes from the prefix pra. Prakarshena. Prakarshena navaha. So specially, it's a very specially visheshena prakarshena, more emphatic. It's emphatically new. Deepaha pradeepaha. Deepa is light and pradeepa is the light which will be continuous. The lamp will be there. The flame will continue to blaze, continue to will continue to burn because that pradeepa apparatus ensures that it continues to burn. But deepa itself does not mean that it will continue to burn. But when you say pradeepa, then it is its perpetuatingness comes in that particular usage. So pranavaha, it's ever new. It will never get old. So how does it help me? See, every idea has a counterpart in what? They are the dimensions. So there must be a natural connection between the symbol and the signified. So Om is the symbol. So that means something will be signified. Therefore, when the symbol is pronounced, it recalls the thing that is signified. So Swamiji's, all are Swamiji's words, culled out from Rajayoga. So when the symbol is pronounced, it recalls the thing that is signified. So Omkara, if it signifies Ishvara, so the moment you utter Om, Ishvara will wake up in your system. It will come to the fore. That Ishvara Bhava will be awakened within ourselves. We have resonance, a pure resonating experience.
Code.
It's a code. You are calling forth the so-called dormant Ishvara. Ishvara is actually very active, but it is dormant in my reckoning. So you are making it manifest, and then for that you are using the code word Om. So repeatedly, so the manifesting God is Om. Om has become one symbol for the religious aspiration for the vast majority of the human beings. Why Om is an appropriate symbol for God? It is because of this, that it has become a religious aspiration for so many and for such a length of time. So by the virtue of its having survived the test of time over and being practiced amidst the millions, so that itself testifies the sanctity and veracity of Om. Swamiji says all this. Tajjapas tad arthabhavanam. You have to meditate on the meaning when you utter the term Om. Arthabhavanam should be done. What is Artha? What is the meaning? The meaning of the Om is Ishvara. And who is the Ishvara? Klesha karma vipaka ashehi aparamrishtaha tasya sarvajnatvam. He is a sarvajna. So these are the attributes of the Ishvara. Not attributes I should say, these are definitions. So when you say Omkara, so that Omkara is untouched by karma, untouched by fruits, untouched by desires, and Omkara is the summum bonum of all knowledge. And Swamiji says, see, every knowledge has got a word in its expression, right? And word will have sound as its basis, and sound has its root in Om. Because sound uses a sound apparatus. In the sound apparatus, there are three particular states, and Avuma, which are components of Om, are the seed are the symbols that are pronounced at the respective three stages. So Om therefore becomes a kind of a one syllable that is able to serve as a seed for every word construction. Every word is an unfoldment from the state of Om. Like every leaf that comes out of a tree is an unfoldment from the seed. The leaf, twig, flower, fruit, branches, the barks, the plasma, the pith, whatever, call by all names. I have exhausted my vocabulary. If you have some more, you can add. All of them are unfoldment from where? From the seed. So likewise, every sound is an unfoldment or a manifestation of Omkara. So it's such a generalization that it is identical therefore to the Ishvara. Tajjapas tad arthabhavanam. And but it says tad japa. Japa means what? Repetition. So why repetition? This is Swamiji's idea. There is nothing holier than to keep good company. Best way to avoid the memories of scars of old wounds when evil company calls them out. When you have a bad thought is now your company. You are taking the company of your thought. Now that is bringing out an evil company, and an evil thought is coming from within you. Now how do you get rid of this company? You need to have a contradicting thought. So you need to get good company to get rid of the evil company. And the good company comes from, now you really do not know when you will be overpowered by an evil company. So that's the reason why we repeatedly be engaged in good company. So repetition is must. Repetition is a must. So one moment of company with the holy makes the ship cross this ocean of life. So repeating Om and thinking of its meaning is keeping good company in our mind. It's a wonderful idea. It's a superb idea. So japa, people say, am I a parrot to do like parrot-like repetition of things? How, what help it will do? Hello my friend, you are asked to repeat it. But that doesn't mean that you have to repeat like parrot. You can repeat like a human being. So Arthabhavana is conviction that I am in the holy thought. See, in a Tamil poem, the poem ends with saying that whoever takes your name, let them take your name with the full understanding. With a full understanding. Let them take your name with full understanding. Such a person will go through a redemption from the quagmires of this worldly existence. That's how the shloka ends. Selvar Shivapurathinula. All these people who utter the name of the God, understanding the full meaning of it. Now the question here is, what is the meaning of God's name? So should I have to go through a dictionary? See, Vishnu Sahasranam has got 1,000 names. Vishwam Vishnu Vashatkaro, Bhuta Bhavya Bhavat Prabhu, Bhuta Bhuta Bhavo, Bhutatma, Bhuta Bhavanaha. Now Bhuta, so Bhuta is one word. So that word will have meaning. Bhuta Bhavanaha, there is another word, another meaning. Paramatma, another word. So each word has different meaning. So Sahasranama, Vishnu or Lalita or Durga, whatever, each name will have a wonderful facet of the God under description. But is that the meaning that is being referred to? Utter the name of the Lord with the knowing the meaning of it. So, what is the meaning that we are going to refer to? Is it a one particular facet? But God Himself is the meaning of that mantra. Why it should be a facet? It will be everything. Everything should be put together in the name of the God. You understand my point? It's not one facet of the God. When we utter the God's name, the meaning of the God's name is the God Himself. The meaning of the God is God Himself. So what does it mean? Finally, what does it mean for a sadhaka? Okay, well, I told Rama, it's God Himself. It doesn't make any change in my mind. Correct? Is there is your perception better? The moment you think that if I call Rama, I am addressing Ramachandra. Or it exactly means Rama only. How does it help us further? What is the next step that we can do? No, okay, I have uttered the name Rama.
Ram character.
We will imbibe the qualities of that Rama. If a name is only a facet of it, then you will get only the facet of it. If the name represents that personality, then you will get that personality by dwelling with, because you are keeping holy company. A man is known by the company he keeps. The same English teaches us. They say, tell me about your friend, I'll tell about yourself. Correct? Now, because we imbibe those qualities. Those characteristics get ingrained in us. We have to be very, very choosy about the people whom uh, you may be working with so many, you may be mingling with so many, but you have to be very, very wary about identifying yourself in the community. Identification is something which you should reserve for only the chosen few, which will help you to grow further in your formation, how you want to be. Want to do good research? Join a good research institute, because you have the culture and you have the climate there, because you will get company of people who are doing good research. So that goes without saying. That way, keeping good company, what happens is we imbibe the good characteristics. So japa, repetition. So what are we repeating? The name of whom? Of that Lord Himself, the God Himself. So realizing that God is the understanding that we are trying to not a dictionary meaning. And once we get that consciousness, the God consciousness brought to mixed with our consciousness, so to say, because there is an overlap. And once that happens, your consciousness gets purified. When the Lord touches you, He transfers His quality to you. That divine communion and the contact we have to be very eager to have. Etadalambanam sreshtam, etadalambanam param, etadalambanam nyatva brahmaloke mahiyate. So this Omkara, you are repeating continuously Om, Om. So you are resorting to Om, you are holding on to Om. So that's the reason why every mantra in our Hindu tradition, every mantra begins with Om. Particularly in the Vaidika Marga. Of course, in Tantra Marga, you have equivalently Hrim is there and Shrim is there. So many other bijas are also coming, and they have their own interpretations.
But what is it? Tantra also beginning is with Om.
That depends on the sampradaya.
What is what is the difference between Tantra and
Yeah, no, tantra and mantra are entirely different. Mantra is a syllable, a sound, a word, and tantra is a process, procedure, is a technique, is a method. Tantra is a method. So this particular support is Shreshtam, it's supreme. Param. Say Shreshtam is best, Param is supreme.
What is Alamban?
Alamban is support. You're holding on to something, the bedrock of our existence. The bedrock is Alamban. You are depending on. See, when we, I have contemplated on this idea several times, and I repeatedly do also. Morning, I get up, I do things, and then I go about many of the daily activities, be it personal or social. I always think about myself as of what I am depending on. I always ask this question: what am I depending on? Suppose I want to get up from the seat. What should I depend on?
Fine.
Exactly the posture. See, if suppose I am like this, can I get up in this posture? In an inclined posture, it is very harmful to body. So I depend on a particular posture and a thrust that I give myself. I have to depend on that. I have to be conscious of that. Correct. So every time any work we do, but more fundamentally, what am I depending on? More fundamentally, what am I depending on? There is some joy in life. There is some joy in life. I want to taste that joy, and I might have already had the taste of the joy, but I want to continue to have the taste of the joy, and that becomes a motivation for me to proceed, to go on with my personal and social life. I never would like to sacrifice or compromise on that joy. Sacrifice, you may compromise a little, but you will never want to sacrifice that joy. So, one way you experience joy is whether you like it or not. So, we never do things which we don't like. Yes or no? So, liking is the alamban. The liking becomes a support.
Can this liking be developed for a job which I don't like?
Then you have to go to the subtler, you have to go to the cause. The job that you don't like, in the format that it is presented to you, you don't like. But in its causal state, it may be in another form. In its causal state, it may be in still another form. So, in its several of these causal chains, in one particular causal chain, you may like it. Yes or no? Hold on to that. For that, you bear with this. We can always do that. Now, the question here is, I'm not even stressing on the idea that you should hold on to liking. It's not necessary that you should always like to do things. It's okay, it's okay. See, I am not encouraging that you should like things to do things. I'm not even, what I'm trying to say is, our psyche is driven by our likes. For all men, including women of course, for all human beings, liking is a very strong excuse for us to engage or disengage. So, what is our alambanam? Liking is our alambanam. But is that Shrestha? Is it the best? Is it supreme? No, it's not supreme. Because it makes us limited. I can only engage in those things in which I am having liking, but those things which I don't like, in fact, most of the medicines are bitter. Most of the things which are beneficial for our well-being are something which is not pellet worthy. But therefore, I will never indulge in it on my own unless I am forced into it, unless the nature corners me and says you have no other but this route to exit. Then I become obedient. So, liking is not a good mechanism for us to depend on for our daily activities. Though liking may be part of things, that should be an effect, but that should not be the cause. So, somebody said, a kid was carrying a child. A kid was carrying, so a kid should be older than the child, of course. So a kid was carrying the child, and the kid was told, "Why do you keep carrying the child? Is he not heavy? Why do you keep, will rest him down?" But then she said, But it is good to keep it is good to pet the child in the embrace, rather than leave the child on the floor." So then he said, "Sir, he is not heavy. He is my brother. He is not heavy." By saying heavy, you are equating it to a thing. So he is not heavy, but he is my brother. So when the kid says that this child is my brother and I am having it, so where is the liking? But will the same child pick up some stone and then keep holding on to it for long? So that means it has gone for a particular act, it goes to the cause. The effect is bearing something. That is the what is called as it's the effect in fruition. But when you look at its causal brother, causal ancestor, we find that there is a relationship between the kid and the child, based on which it is able to put up with the heaviness, the, the load bearing capability automatically comes forth from within. So, what is the alambanam? For the kid, for the child, the alambanam is that he is my brother. Had it been, my muscles, if the alambanam will be muscles, then the kid will grow weaker. Very soon it will grow weak. And it will lay down the heavy thing. So it did not hold on to it with the strength of the muscle that it has developed, but with the strength of the love it enjoys with the kid. You get my point? So that is a better alambanam. Love is a better support than something which is physical. They say Narmada is a place in Madhya Pradesh, Omkareshwar, where many sadhus go there and they do parikrama. And a lot of practices are attached with the banks of Narmada. All of those practices are very strenuous, extremely strenuous. There are people who have very strong body, underwent these strenuous practices, say for 2 years or 2 years is a huge time. You don't even know where your next meal will come from. Full stop. Let us do all other calculations later. Okay. So now such an existence, if you do for 2 years, can you continue being strong? Your body will break down. Correct? So there are many people who with very strong body, they have gone there, they have broken their bones, and they have returned back to normal life. There are quite a lot of people. They will develop irreparable bone injury, or maybe stomach completely damaged, kidney and liver damaged, and various kinds of problems, pressure and sugar issues. because of the imbalance, dietary imbalance, so on and so forth. There are many. But there are at the same time equally many or more many, if English will permit me to use that kind of an adjective, there are more many who, with a very weak body, not having any hope, go to Narmada, do these practices and become strong. They become very strong. How and why? How this thing happens? Strong body gets broken, but a weak body regenerates with as if a second lease of life. I have known people. I'm not saying this out of nothing. So the kind of conclusion that I came to is that what is your alambanam? If you go through that strenuous activity with the alambanam of your body strength, then that will break. If body strength is the reason that you take up such strenuous spiritual practices, then that body will be broken. If you take your love for God as the single support, as the only support that you have to go through this strenuous practice, then your body gets regenerated. Because this is not something which is done by the body, it is done by the spirit. This exercise is done by the spirit. So the more you conscious you are about the body, it breaks. If you are conscious about it and you put lot of load on that, it will break. It's obvious. So this is a speculation I am doing it for myself compared with all the data that I have with me. So that means what? If you pride yourself of something which is material, then that material pride cannot be sustained. It will break. If not today, tomorrow. Some circumstances will come, it will break that material and your pride also will be broken. So never one has to, be